Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry for the delay. We should be live. I'll just wait for confirmation to make sure that I am live. If someone could just confirm, and then we'll get started. I'm really sorry about that. Good news is that the class is being recorded, so about an hour or so after the live stream, this will be converted to a regular YouTube video, which only you will have access to. And I will just answer some of the emails of people asking me what's going on. But we are live, I hope so. And then we'll get started on modes. And I'll make the most of this. Could someone please confirm that I am live? Yep, I am. Great. Excellent. Thank you. Thanks, Dan, for your email. It's great to see everyone. Again, I'm really sorry about we're starting 30 minutes late. I've had some issues trying to set up this, but as I'm pursuing this online live group class, I am trying to improve things, and I'm getting some better ideas as what I need to do to make this a lot more user friendly. So in the classes to come, you'll see some improvements. Well, you're here because you want to play Modal. And what I mean by this video is being processed. You are seeing this live, but once it's finished, once this live stream is finished, it's going to be processed by YouTube so that it can be viewed on a regular basis without being live. It takes about an hour or so. And it's going to be the same link that you're watching this, and you'll be able to review this class again. So, thanks for being here. This class comes with a downloadable pack that you can get on the link in the email, and you don't have to have it now, but later when you watch the class again, you might want to read what's in the PDF charts. And I'm going to try to follow this. I might take some different paths, but if you read the PDF file later on, you'll be able to understand a lot better what's going on. So you want to play modal, you want to play with modes, and you actually already are, if we consider that modes are scales. And scales are just a series of notes that are organized into a logical way. And if you're using notes that are not just randomly played on the fretboard, you're already playing modal. You might not know which mode you're in, but we're going to see that in this class also. But for those of you who have been studying modes a little bit, I want you to forget anything that you've learned, because we're going to take a different type of approach here. We're going to take a little different approach. I'm going to start with a story. I'm going to tell you a story, because everybody loves stories. Just imagine a world. There is a world. It's not the human world, it's just a world, okay? A world in space. And that world is made of 7 different countries. So what do these countries have in common? Well, they have in common the fact that they're part of the same world. So that's what they have in common. And modes are countries. Modes are part of the same world. And there's different worlds with different sets of modes of countries. But the world we're going to explore today is called the church modes. And by the way, I really encourage people to take notes. If you can, take notes as we're doing this. So, 7 countries that are part of the same world, which is the church modes, the church world. We don't have to get into historical reasons as to why it's called the church modes. That's not the point. The point is that these modes are grouped together because they're in the same world. And that was years ago. That was centuries ago. In modern music now, as we're developing chops for fusion, blues, and all those newer types of music. I'm sorry about this weird thing there. I'm trying to, I think it's maybe my glasses making that weird noise. Sorry, hopefully we'll be able to fix that. Um, that was a long time ago. A long time ago, these modes could not work independently from each other. In other words, when you were in one of the countries, well, you could easily travel to the other one. And a lot of people still see modes that way, but that creates problems. It creates problems. Something happened to that world with 7 different modes. There was a big explosion. And that explosion made each of the 7 countries move apart from each other. And I'm sorry, they moved apart from each other. And these countries, instead of being in the same world, they were completely independent from each other. Completely independent. And so if you were to visit the Ionian country, you'd be in the Ionian country right away. You wouldn't have to go through the other countries in order to travel to the Ionian country. The Ionian country is its own world now. So 7 countries, there's an explosion, and now there's 7 different worlds. That's the state of music theory today. Modes are unique in individual scales, even though they generated from a same background, a same world. Now they're very different. There's 7 different worlds, completely different. Now, if you were to study the modes, you would see some similarities between them, which makes sense because they originated from the same world, right? They have that history in common. Let me try without the glasses. Yeah, that's not what it is. I think it's a cable type of thing. It's that cable. I know it's really annoying, isn't it? Maybe if I move it to the back. Yeah, maybe it'll fix it a little bit. I don't know. I'll try to fix that too. Sorry. So, alright. So, if you're the type of person who has been studying with modes for a while, and anytime you visit one of these modes, you go back to the original world by going through all the different countries in order to visit the country you want, don't do that anymore. Forget about it. You need to be going to a mode right away on the spot. Okay? So if we compare these modes, there's 7 of them, we can classify them into 2 main areas. There's the minor countries and the major countries. You can see that as the Eastern world, the Western world. They're just 2 main types of countries, and they have similarities. The minor countries, they have 1 note in common, and that's the third. Their third note is minor. The major countries, their third note is major. It's the third that determines the nature of a mode or a scale or anything like that. So if you're dealing with a major chord, it has a major third. If you're dealing with a minor chord, a minor third. And it's the same for scales. If you're dealing with a minor scale, we're having a minor third. A major scale will have a major third. Third, when I say third, that's an interval. The distance between 2 notes can be measured, and that's called an interval. And there are some wide intervals and some small intervals. See that this is wider than this. And so in order to classify these intervals, we talk in terms of second, third, fourth, fifth. So a second is smaller than a fourth, and etc. A fourth is wider than a second, and so forth. And intervals are really important to understand the fingerprint of a country, because without the fingerprint of a country, without the classification of the notes that make a country or a mode or a scale, all scales would be the same. So we talked about the third note of a scale. If it's minor, we're dealing with a minor mode. If it's major, dealing with major mode. There are 3 very commonly used minor modes and 3 very commonly used major modes. So if you're taking notes, this is where you should take notes. Let's take a look at the minor countries, the minor modes. They all have in common the minor third. We have the Dorian, the Phrygian, and the Aeolian. These 3 different countries. And if I play them one after the other, you'll see that, well, they kind of sound the same. Here's a Dorian mode. Here's a Phrygian mode. Here is an Aeolian mode. See, they kind of sound similar. That's because they share at least one note, the minor third, because they're minor modes. There's three major modes that are commonly used: the Ionian, the Lydian, very close, right? And the Mixolydian. They're very close, and you know why, because they have at least one note in common. Actually, two. The root, which is the starting point, and I started them all in the same key, and the third, which is major, because we're dealing with major modes. Minor modes, major modes. They actually have more than two notes in common. They have 5 notes in common. The minor modes have 5 notes in common. The major modes have 5 notes in common. So we need to know which of these notes are common. So let's take a look at the minor modes. We're going to write down these minor modes and we're going to see what we have. So the Dorian mode, the Phrygian mode, and the Aeolian mode, those are all minor. So you know that they have in common the root and the third, which is minor. Okay. What else? Well, please take notes now. Now's the time. And the reason I'm late is that I was trying to set up a way for me to type notes and you would see them on the screen. Unfortunately, I was not able to do it in time. But for the next stream, I will have it. So let's write down these the formula, the print, the fingerprint of these three different countries. For the Dorian mode, we have a root, a major second, a minor third, a perfect fourth, a perfect fifth, a major sixth, a minor seventh. You have those written down, and I think I can actually find a way to do that. Let's see. I hope so. I'll try my best. I think I can do that somehow. I'll put that on the screen. Okay, so we're dealing with the Dorian. The Dorian mode has a root, a major second, a minor third, a fourth, a fifth, a major sixth, and a minor seventh. And you should be seeing that appear on the screen right now. Okay, so take note of that. Let me play that for you. A root, a major second, a minor third, a fourth, a fifth, a major sixth, and a minor seventh. And yes, thank you. Thank you for reminding me of the PDF. Yes. So those notes. Let's now take a look at the next of these modes, which is the Phrygian. What does the Phrygian have? The Phrygian has, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to change this. I don't know how to. Sorry guys, bear with me just a second. I don't know how to change the text that I just wrote. I guess instead of changing it, I just won't write any text. The Phrygian mode has a root, a minor second, a minor third, a perfect fourth, a perfect fifth, a minor sixth, and a minor seventh. And the Aeolian has a root, major second, minor third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, minor sixth, and minor seventh. So if you have your PDF in front of you, take a look at it. If you haven't downloaded it yet, you should download it. If you haven't opened it yet in front of you, you should open it just like I'm about to do. I'm booting up my hard drive here. But they have 5 notes in common. Can anyone tell me which of these 5 notes are? Which 5 notes are common to Dorian, Phrygian, and recent videos? You know that. And those notes are root, minor third, but you knew that already, right? Because they're minor modes. Perfect fourth, perfect fifth, and minor seventh. So on your PDF chart, you can take a look at page 4. Does everyone have that PDF chart? If you're here, you got the link for this video, so you should have that. On page 4 are listed the minor modes. Notice the Locrian mode. We're not going to deal with that for now. We're not going to deal with that fourth minor mode. It is a minor mode because it has a minor third, but we're not going to deal with it. So yes, the common notes are root, minor third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, and minor seventh. Well, if I play these notes, root, minor third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, minor seventh. That should sound familiar if you've been playing for a little while. If I do this, what's that? I'm phrasing minor pentatonic. The Dorian, Phrygian, and Aeolian all share in common 5 notes, the minor pentatonic scale. So that means that if I want to visit the Phrygian country, and I don't know the Phrygian language, I can rely on my basic 5-letter language, 5-letter alphabet, to speak and be understood in the Phrygian country. I'm going to be understood. I'm not going to be able to say very articulate words and ideas, but I'll still be understood. So let's try this. I'm going to demonstrate that. I've got a few backing tracks, and you do too. They come with your pack. But I'm going to play something in, let's say, Phrygian, and we'll see how that sounds with a very basic language, the minor pentatonic scale. Here's something in B Phrygian. Which should be playing, but it's not. Not sure why. Are you hearing anything? Probably not. Strange. I feel that this is the lesson where everything's going to go wrong. Oh man. Let's see. I think I know what's going on. If not, we'll figure it out. Okay, yes, there we go. Okay, here's a B Phrygian backing track. So we're in B Phrygian. I could play a B minor pentatonic. That would work fine. It works, but it's not very flavorful. But it works. I can express myself in the Phrygian country with a minor pentatonic scale. I could also express myself over a Dorian backing track. That would work very well also, because within the Dorian country, you find a minor pentatonic scale. So let's try that over a Dorian backing track in A. It works. Again, it's not super flavorful, but it works. And I could do the same with the Aeolian. So Dorian, Phrygian, and Aeolian, they share 5 notes in common. Now that is playing modal, but that is not making full advantage of the modal characteristic. Playing modal means playing with the 7 letters of the alphabet corresponding to the country you're visiting, or the backing track you're playing over, or the groove you're playing over. And you already, if you know your minor pentatonic scale, you already know 5 of these notes. For the minor modes, the minor countries, Dorian, Phrygian, and Aeolian. So really all we need to know is the formula that would make a Dorian scale. And the formula would look like this: minor pentatonic scale plus 2 other notes. And those notes are called the characteristic notes. Those are the notes that make the Dorian scale Dorian, that differentiates the Dorian from Phrygian and Aeolian. So let's take a look at our PDF chart. Take a look at page 5 of your PDF chart. Page 5 lists the minor modes, and I highlighted the common notes between these. I highlighted the root, the minor third, the fourth, the fifth, and the minor seventh. Those are the minor pentatonic scale notes. The notes that are not highlighted are the notes that are not common, and those are characteristic notes. Let's take a look at the Dorian scale. So the characteristic notes are going to be the 2nd and the 6th. Some of these. Let's take a look at the major 2nd. The question is, if I'm in a Dorian setting, and use your PDF file, if I'm in a Dorian setting, is the major 2nd telling me that I am in Dorian and nothing else? Well, the major 2nd differentiates Dorian from Phrygian, because Phrygian has a minor 2nd. Unfortunately, the Aeolian has a major 2nd also. So the major 2nd is not enough to tell me that I'm in Dorian. In other words, if I play minor pentatonic alone, I could be in Dorian, Phrygian, and Aeolian, but if I add to that minor pentatonic scale a major 2nd, that's not characteristic enough, because I could also be in Aeolian. So that's not it. Let's look at the other note, the 6th, which is a major 6th. Is the major 6th characteristic? Do we find a major 6th in the Phrygian? No. Phrygian has a minor 6th. Same with Aeolian. Aeolian has a minor 6th. That means that the major 6th is the characteristic note of the Dorian scale. In other words, when a lead player is going to converse over a backing track, he needs to speak the right language, right? The proper language in that country. That country, the chords you're playing over, you need to use the right alphabet, the right language. If you don't know that language, you need to look at what's around, or listen to what's around, what's being said to you by the backing track of the chords. And there are two, this is really important, there are two main types of informations that are given to you when you're listening to a chord progression. The first type of information you're going to want to pay attention to is, am I in a minor country or a major country? Am I in a sunny place of the world or a rainy part of the world? However you want to see it. That information is given by the third. If you're hearing a minor third, you're in a minor country. If you're hearing a major third, you're in a major country. If you hear a minor third, most likely you're in Dorian, Phrygian, or Aeolian in a minor country. So you can use a minor pentatonic scale. Okay. The second main type of information you're looking for, listening for, is the characteristic note. Characteristic note, which is what we just figured out for the Dorian. If you're hearing a major 6th with a minor third, you're in Dorian, because the major 6th is only found in the Dorian mode as far as minor countries go. Pause real quick. Could someone confirm that I am still alive? People are really quiet, so maybe it's because you're listening, which is great. But I just want to make sure that everything's okay. I'll check my email too to see if I have any support here that needs to be done. Yes. And yes. Okay, I've got confirmation that I'm live. Could someone just send me a quick chat? And I know there might be a little delay between the chat. I think I'm live, yeah. Yes, I am. I see myself here. Great. Alright, so let's move on to the Phrygian mode. The Phrygian mode. Could anybody tell me if the second is enough to differentiate the Phrygian from the other ones? So again, we're looking at the PDF file playing Modal that came with your lesson, and we are on page 5, section 6, which lists the minor modes. And I highlighted the common notes between Dorian, Phrygian, and Aeolian, which are the minor pentatonic scale modes. And we're trying to see which note makes Phrygian. So it's not going to be one of the highlighted notes. It's another one. Is it the second? The Phrygian has a minor second. Does Dorian and Aeolian have a minor second? No. It means we found it. It means that if we play a minor pentatonic scale plus a minor second, that's Dorian. That would work. So we'll get more into chords in a second to build those countries. But that's the important part. So far, we learned two things: that a Dorian scale can be seen as a minor pentatonic plus a major sixth, a major second also, but major sixth is a characteristic note. Our Phrygian mode is a minor pentatonic scale plus a minor second, which is a characteristic note, and a minor sixth. Moving on to the Aeolian. The Aeolian, it's a little twist to it, because if we look at the two notes that are not common to the others, it's the second and the sixth. The Aeolian has a major second, but the Dorian also has a major second. The Aeolian has a minor sixth, the Phrygian also has a minor sixth. So if I were to play a minor pentatonic scale and I add to that a major second, I could be in Dorian, but I eliminated Phrygian. Phrygian is eliminated because it doesn't have a major second. If I add to the Aeolian scale a minor sixth, that eliminates Dorian. So the characteristic notes of the Aeolian mode, scale, country, alphabet, is a combination of the two. You need to hear the major second and the minor sixth in order to eliminate the other modes. Does that make sense? Okay. Before we play Modal, we need to understand the countries, or the musical beds we're playing over. And for that, we're going to take a look at those modes, but written all across the fretboard. And I have that diagram somewhere. I need to find where. And I think it's, yeah, I know where it is. So basically what we're going to do is take a look at these minor modes, Dorian, Phrygian, and Aeolian, and we're going to look at how they're built all over the fretboard. And this is what we have. We have these modes written in the key of A Dorian, and then right underneath A Phrygian, and then right underneath A Aeolian. So let's build a country that would work over the A Dorian scale. Remember, I told you there, when you're playing over a backing track, when you want to converse or improvise over a backing track, there are two main types of information you're listening for. You want to know first if you're dealing with a minor mode, and that happens with the third. The minor third tells you that you're in a minor mode. You might need to make your screen a little bigger to really see this. But as long as you can follow, I know it's kind of hard to read those dots and those intervals, as long as you follow what I'm doing, you can reproduce it. Let me switch to a clean tone, because I'm going to build some chords, and it's important to really hear the intervals of these chords. Let's see if this works. Yeah, I'll kill the delay. Okay, we're in the key of A. The first main information that you want is, well, am I in a minor setting or a major setting? So you need to hear the third. So we're going to work with triads. If you look at the first diagram, A Dorian, there's a lot of triads we can build. Triad is a 3-note chord, and you can make up your own triad. Anything with 3 notes is a triad. So this, that's a triad. This is a triad. You can make up your triad, but we're going to use the conventional, traditional way of building triads with root, third, fifth. We're skipping a note each time within the scale. So root, skip the next note to the third, skip the next to the fifth, right there. And we're going to use, for this example, A Dorian, the root that is found on the 4th string, 7th fret. And then we're going to add to that a third, a minor third, which is found, you have one on the 3rd string, 5th fret. And then a 5th, which is found on the 2nd string, 5th fret. I've got root, minor third, and perfect 5th. That's the first main type of information the listener should listen to before improvising. So we are in a minor setting. If I only played this note, by the way, is just the root played an octave lower. You know you're in a minor mode, but you could be in Dorian, Phrygian, or Aeolian. You don't know. Because those notes that I'm playing, root, minor third, 5th, are common to each one of these. And you can see that shape, from the 4th string to the 2nd string, frets 7, 5, and 5. If you move to vertically down to the next shape, you find the same exact shape within the Phrygian diagram and the same exact shape within the Aeolian diagram. So that's not enough. We need to add to that the characteristic note of Dorian, which we just said was the 6th. So let's take that triad that we have, and each of these 3 notes is going to move to the next note it encounters on the scale, on the diagram. So if we're in a Dorian, the root, which was on the 4th string, 7th fret, moves 2 frets higher. That's the 2nd. The minor third moves also 2 frets higher on the 7th fret, and the 5th moves 2 frets higher on the 7th fret. So we have the same exact shape, 2 frets higher. And that new shape, instead of having a root, minor third, 5th, according to the diagram, we have a 2nd, 4th, major 6th. Major 6th is the note, the characteristic note that we're looking for. So these 2 triads, when they're attracted to the root, which is A, is going to create a Dorian backing track, a Dorian country, over which I will have no other choice but to play Dorian. Okay, so that's how you create modal chord progressions. I took a very standard traditional scholar approach here, but you can be creative because a chord doesn't have to be root, third, 5th. As a matter of fact, those types of chord tend to become quite boring after a while. So why not pick another type of chord? We don't even need to know the name of the chord as long as we look at the diagram. For example, there's a shape here that is pretty interesting. If you look at strings 1, 2, 3 on the Dorian diagram, on the 1st string you play that root on the 5th fret. Right underneath you have that note is perfect 4th, perfect 5th, I'm sorry. And then on the 3rd string, 4th fret, you see that note? It's major 2nd. if I play this note, if I play that that chord, which is made of a second, fifth, and root, well, I don't know which mode I'm in yet. But if I move each note to the next note it encounters on the scale, to the next shape, which would be 5-7-7, that 5-7-7 has a minor third, a major sixth, then a major second, and that's enough to know I'm in Dorian. If I play these two chords, alternating these two chords with a root to hear how they attract to the root, I'll have something like this. This is very Dorian. With just the first chord, it's not very Dorian. I don't know what mode I'm in because I don't have that major sixth. I don't even have a minor third. I don't know. If I move, as soon as I move to the next chord, this is very Dorian. Very Dorian. Makes sense? That's how you build modal chord progressions. Do we have any questions before we move on? You can use the comments of YouTube. And I want to thank Brem for plugging me with making a plug here with private lessons. Thank you very much. All right, moving on. So that's how you build modal chord progressions. And now that you understand that, I really encourage you to go back into later when you're studying this and to look at the diagram of the full mode all over the fretboard and build chord progressions that would fit over a specific diagram or a specific mode. It's going to be very helpful. All right, let's move on to the Phrygian. The Phrygian, the characteristic note for the Phrygian is the minor second. So let's do it the Scholar way, traditional way. We'll start by playing minor triad with a root, minor third, perfect fifth. That triad alone, root, minor third, fifth, is not enough to tell me that I'm in Dorian, Phrygian, or Aeolian because all these three minor modes, they have in common these three notes, root, minor third, fifth. Characteristic note of Phrygian is a minor second. So I need to find a minor second, to hear a minor second in addition to that minor third. So I could just add a minor second. Why not? Well, because I don't want to. So instead of doing that, but you could though, but instead of doing that, each of the three notes is going to move to its next note it encounters on the scale. So the root moves just, when we're looking at the Phrygian, the second diagram, the root, which is on the 4th string, 7th fret, moves to the 4th string, 8th fret. That's a minor second. Great. That's what we want. But let's move the minor third to the next note it encounters, which is 2 frets higher, and the 5th, 1 fret higher, according to the diagram. So I'll have this kind of shape now. It's a major triad shape. From the 4th string to the 2nd string, I'm on frets 8, 7, and 6. Now if I play these two triads, in relation to my bass note, which is A, I'll have a Dorian color. This is very Phrygian. Very different than the Dorian. You hear the difference, Dorian? Phrygian. Dorian. Phrygian. If I only lock on the first chord, I don't know. They're common. Ah, Dorian, yeah, I can tell that. Phrygian. Dorian. And you start seeing some similarities between these modes, but you also see some main differences The similarities are due to the fact that these modes were part of the same world originally. But they're different because now there is this explosion, and these modes should be seen as unique and individual scales. So that's key in order to play modal. Let's look at the Aeolian. Remember the Aeolian, if you look back at your PDF chart on page, was it page 6? Page 5, section 6. Let's look at the Aeolian. The major second differentiates the Aeolian from the Phrygian, so we need that. But the Dorian could still be in play. If we look at the minor sixth, which is in the Aeolian, that eliminates Dorian, but it doesn't eliminate Phrygian, so we need both. We need to hear the major second and the minor sixth. So for that, we can simply take our beginning triad, root, minor third, fifth, same exact shape that we've had since for the other two modes, but this time we're going to move that shape to the other. Each of the three notes is going to move to the next note it encounters on the scale. So basically, the root moves 2 frets higher. The minor third 2 frets higher, and the perfect fifth 1 fret higher. You'll have this shape. From the 4th string to the 2nd string, we're on frets 9, 7, 8. And that triad is now made of a 2nd, a 4th, and a minor 6th. And that's great because those are the 2 notes that we're looking for. We need to have the major 2nd to eliminate the Phrygian, and we need to have the minor 6th to eliminate the Aeolian. So these 2 triads, being attracted to the root, which is A, that's why I wrote it in A, so we can use that open string, is going to give us the Aeolian color. Let's hear all the 3 modes in order. The Dorian, now the Phrygian, the Aeolian. Let's hear the Phrygian and the Aeolian. Phrygian and Aeolian. Hear the difference? Or I'll arpeggiate it. This is Phrygian. Now Aeolian. Phrygian. Aeolian. Dorian. So, of course, for the untrained ear, they sound very similar, but now you know where the difference lies. It's in these characteristic notes, and that's how you can apply all that. Alright, now that we have this, how do we play modal? Well, we know how the musical beds are created, the countries are created. It's a combination of 2 main types of informations. The third, telling you if you're in a minor country or in a major country, and the characteristic note, which gives you really the color, the full color of the country. Instead of having to memorize 7 note modes over and over in many different keys, you can just start by memorizing the 5 common notes to these different modes. Minor pentatonic scale, and most likely you know that scale. For those of you who don't, here's the first position of an A minor pentatonic scale. Penta means 5. So we have two notes per string, and I'll start on the 6th string. We'll have frets 5, 8, which is root, minor third because we're dealing with minor modes. Third, that means that there's a 2nd hidden in there. You see there's 2 spaces for that. Between the 5 and 8, I could play 6 or 7. That's because there's minor seconds and major seconds. Depending on the mode I'm going to play, I'm going to have to use one of these these notes in between. But let's continue our study of the 5 common notes, the minor pentatonic scale. Again, 2 notes per string. In a vertical way, I have from the 6th string to the 1st, I have 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 8, and 5, 8. Descending 8, 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 8, 5. A lot of phrasing ideas you can do with that, but after a while it starts all sounding like too bluesy, so we're going to add color to that. Let's take a look at the Dorian scale. The Dorian scale is, like you know, and like your PDF tells you, a minor pentatonic scale to which we're adding a major second and a major sixth. If you're not familiar with your intervals, that's a different study, but now you see why it's important to know your intervals, because on the spot, if you can find your major second, just add these notes to your minor pentatonic. But I'll help you. What is the characteristic note of the Dorian? It's the major sixth. And we can add the major second also, so that we have the full 7-note scale. So let's take a look. I'll give you the diagram, and again, they're on your PDF chart of the full Dorian scale, and we'll use the position. We're not going to use a horizontal position because that doesn't facilitate the naming of the intervals and the understanding of how the scale is built. We use a vertical position, which is built again on that minor pentatonic scale. But from the 6th string to the 1st string, we'll do the first octave, so the 7 notes of a Dorian scale. We have on the 6th string frets 5, 7, 8. Why 7? Because that's a major second. A minor second would be 5, 6, which will be Phrygian, but we're in Dorian. So 5, 7, 8. And you see that the outside notes, the left and the right note, 5 and 8, those are the minor pentatonic scale notes, to which we're adding the major second. On the next string we have 5, 7. So far we have root, major second, minor third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth. Major sixth is also found on the Dorian, and we have a major sixth on the 4th string, 4th fret. That's a major sixth. Moving on to the minor 7th, which is a note of the minor pentatonic scale, 4th string, 5th fret. So that's what we have. And you see that you have the 5 notes of the minor pentatonic scale. We also have these 5 notes an octave higher, to which we need to add a major second and a major sixth. So let's continue. We were on the 4th string, we were playing the major 6th on the 4th fret, minor 7th on the 5th fret. Moving after that, we played our 7 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The octave is on the 4th string, 7th fret. We knew that because it's part of the minor pentatonic scale. After that, we need a major second, and we find one on the 3rd string, 4th fret. Minor third, part of the minor pentatonic scale. Perfect fourth, part of the minor pentatonic scale, which is respectively on the 3rd string, frets 5 and 7. Moving on to the 2nd string, we have 5, 7, 8, and the 1st string, 5, 7, 8. So here's the full position of the Dorian scale. Within that position, we find the minor pentatonic scale. So a great exercise to get comfortable with that is to maybe ascend your full mode and descend the minor pentatonic scale. And then the other way around, ascend the penta, descend the full Dorian mode. Now do it in octaves. The first octave of the minor pentatonic scale. Descend the mode, and the next octave. And that's the full Dorian mode. So phrasing wise, okay, you've got your alphabet, you've got your scale, but now you need to speak over the conversation that's given to you, the Dorian conversation, the Dorian country. You've got to think in terms of words, licks. Words is, several letters played together to make ideas. Licks are several notes played together to make ideas. So instead of using the full alphabet, why not start with the basic language, the minor pentatonic scale language, to which we're going to add one of the notes of the Dorian scale. So, for example, the major seconds. So if you've been playing for a while, you've got a lot of different blues words or minor pentatonic words. So why not start with a word that you know? I don't know, this one, for example. I'm just making it up, but that's a word that you might know in the minor pentatonic scale. To which you're going to add one letter, one extra letter. The major second. And you have one here, and one here. So the first step is to locate where those letters are, the major second, and then phrase minor pentatonic and land on one of the extra notes. I landed on the minor second. I'll try this minor second now. And that works too. That's Dorian. Would that work in Aeolian? Yes, because the Aeolian has a major second also. Let's make this lick really Dorian. What do I need to do? I need to hear at some point the major sixth. So let's try the same type of thing. I'll do some words in minor pentatonic. And I'll add to that, I'll land on that, a major sixth, which is found on the 2nd string, 7th fret, and 4th string, 4th fret. If I stayed in this area of the fretboard. So here's a minor pentatonic lick, and I'll land on one of these notes. That works. Now I'll land on this one. Very Dorian sounding. And that's how you can just move from a minor pentatonic based vocabulary improv to a modal improv. Just think in terms of minor pentatonic scale to which you're adding 2 notes. Let's try this over a backing track. I'll use Dorian backing track, and let's see, I kind of lost my window where the comments are. Okay, no comments. Feel free to interrupt anytime if you have questions. Questions are welcome. Let's use for this a funky type of backing track. I'm going to visit the Dorian world, the Dorian country. Backing tracks are loading. And we'll do something in E Dorian. So here's our musical bed, E Dorian. I could use the basic language, the minor pentatonic scale, but I will add to that, we're in E, a major second. So I'll land on the major seconds. I'll land it on the major seconds. Well, now I'll land on this one. Let's try another one. And that's very modal, without the complexity of thinking in terms of modes. I'm just thinking minor pentatonic, to which I'm adding one of the 2 extra notes. I'll do the same thing. This time I'll add the real characteristic note of the Dorian, which is the major sixth. So minor pentatonic, the major sixth. Let's hear that. soon enough you'll be playing modal without really knowing it by just thinking minor pentatonic scale and then just incorporating. You don't have to land on, but just incorporate the major second and the major sixth. So you see, it's just based on the basic language, the minor pentatonic, and then I'm just adding two colorful notes. The Phrygian, same thing. I could just phrase minor pentatonic scale and then land on, and then add to that the minor second and the minor sixth. And the Aeolian, I could think minor pentatonic scale and then add a major second and a minor sixth. So that's how we play modal. Let's explore the same concept, but this time we'll use the major modes. Major modes. So on the PDF, I'm trying to find which section to look at, and it's section 5. We did it in reverse, but it's section 5. It's on page 4, section 5. I listed here the 5 major modes. Stupid pun, intended but failed. But the most commonly used major modes, Ionian, Lydian, and Mixolydian, I listed their formula. So 7 notes, 7 intervals that make these modes. And then we compared them. So again, we're on the PDF file, page 4, section 5. And if we compare them, we find, again, 5 notes in common. These notes are root, major second, major third, fifth, and major sixth. If I played these notes in A, I'd have root, major second, major third, fifth, major sixth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Repeat it an octave higher. And that spells out a major pentatonic scale. So you might be looking at this and thinking, well, yeah, it sounds major pentatonic, but I don't recognize this position. That's because I'm using the first position of a major pentatonic scale. You might be used to thinking major pentatonic scale is just a minor pentatonic scale shifted 3 frets below. Yes, same notes, but if we rearrange these notes in a vertical way, so that the root is, so we're building the scale from the root vertical, and on the right side, that's what we have. So here's that position. It's listed in the PDF chart also, but here it is for those of you who are not familiar with it. I am playing from the 6th string to the 1st. I'm in A, 5th fret, 2 notes per string. Here's that position, 5, 7. Next string, 4, 7. Next one, 4, 7 again. Next one is 4, 6. Next is 5, 7. And the first string, 5, 7. Here it is again, 5, 7, 4, 7, 4, 7, 4, 6, 5, 7, and 5, 7. Major pentatonic scale. That's the basic language that is going to be understood in the major countries. So if I visit a Lydian backing track, I could speak with the major pentatonic scale, and people would understand what I'm saying, because that's the basic language. It's not going to be very colorful. To be very colorful, we need to add the characteristic notes. And those notes are going to be some type of 4th and some type of 7th. But let's just try again. The pack comes with backing tracks for you guys to explore. But I'm going to try to develop some ideas over the Lydian, for example, over the Lydian country, Lydian backing track. And I'm going to try to speak the basic 5-letter alphabet, which is the major pentatonic scale. Here's something in A Lydian. everything works well, but it's not very colorful. What I mean, well, it can be colorful, but what I mean by that is that if I were to play the same exact improv over a Mixolydian backing track or an Ionian backing track, it would work, because Ionian, Lydian, and Mixolydian, they share 5 notes in common, and my improv was just using these 5 notes. So let's take a look at the notes that make Ionian, Lydian, or Mixolydian. We're going to skip Ionian for now. We'll see why in a second. We take a look at Lydian. The first note that might be different is the 4th. We have an augmented 4th in the Lydian. Do we have an augmented 4th in Ionian and Mixolydian? Again, we're on page 4, section 5. No, we don't. Ionian and Mixolydian have a perfect 4th. So that's good news for us. That means that if I play an augmented 4th over a major country, I am in the Lydian mode. So the characteristic note of the Lydian is the augmented 4th. Excuse me. I'm not bored, I promise. Just didn't sleep very well. Mixolydian. Let's look at the 4th. We have a perfect 4th in Mixolydian, but we also have a perfect 4th in Ionian, so that can't be it. Mixolydian has a minor 7th. That's interesting, because that's the only major mode that has a minor 7th. So that's the characteristic note of Mixolydian. Ionian is different, just like we saw for the Aeolian. We need to hear the perfect 4th and the major 7th at the same time. The perfect 4th is going to eliminate Lydian, but it's not eliminating Mixolydian. The major 7th is going to eliminate Mixolydian, so we need to hear both. So let's develop some ideas to create some musical beds that would work over Ionian, Lydian, and Mixolydian. So just like we did for the other modes, for the minor modes, we need 2 types of informations. The first one is to know if you're in a major country or in a minor country. And that information is given by the 3rd. So I'll show you on the screen, this time, the list, not of minor modes, but of major modes. And I'm going to change that to the major modes. And I'm going to do it right now. Major modes. So we've got Ionian, Lydian, and Mixolydian. All these are written in the key of A. I wrote them in the same key so that we can really see the differences and the similarities between them. First main information we'll look for is the 3rd. We need to hear that 3rd, and we'll do it in the conventional, traditional way by using root, major 3rd, and 5th. And we can find that combination in a lot of different places on the fretboard, but for this we'll use the combo that we find on strings 2, 3, 4. If you look at the 4th string, 7th fret, we have our root. 3rd string, 6th fret, we have a major 3rd. And the 2nd string, 5th fret, that's our perfect 5th. See how it's very close to the ones we used for the minor ones. The only difference was the 3rd. So we're using a major triad here. Root, major 3rd, perfect 5th. If you look at that shape, we're in the Ionian, and you vertically move down to the next diagram, you find the same shape on the same frets and same strings for the Lydian, and same shape for the Mixolydian. That's because the root, major 3rd, and 5th are found in the major pentatonic scale, which are the 5 common notes to Ionian, Lydian, and Mixolydian. So if we only heard this, I could play Ionian. I could also play Lydian. Or Mixolydian. It would all work. So we need to hear the characteristic note. Let's get the Ionian because it involves 2. We'll do that after. The Lydian. the characteristic note of the Lydian, and again, you can go back to your PDF file, and if we compared the notes, the only note that is found in Lydian is the augmented fourth. So let's try to take that stuttering triad shape, and each of the three notes is going to move to the next note it encounters on the scale. The root, which is on the 4th string 7th fret, moves 2 frets higher. According to the diagram, it shifts 2 frets higher. We're in Lydian again. The major third moves 2 frets higher. The 5th moves 2 frets higher, so it's the same exact shape, played 2 frets higher. That new shape happens to be in relation to that A major second, an augmented fourth, that's what we want, and a major sixth. So we have that characteristic note here, which is attracted to the root. So we have two informations. We hear the major third, which tells us, okay, major pentatonic, major setting. And then on the second triad, we hear the characteristic note, which makes it Lydian. There's no other choices but to play Lydian on this. Let's hear that chord progression. You can really hear that. I don't know if there are any Joe Satriani fans, but I'm a big fan, and one of the songs that I really like is Flying in a Blue Dream, which is Lydian. And you can hear that. Flying in a Blue Dream is an E, but if I transpose it to A, we have something like this. Hear that characteristic note. As you're playing, you'll start to recognize, and as you work through these, you'll start recognizing modes really easily. Great. Let's move on to the Mixolydian. What is the characteristic note of the Mixolydian mode? Can anybody tell me? Characteristic note of the Mixolydian mode. So which note makes Mixolydian Mixolydian? Anyone? Is those comments are, I don't know if those comments come in live, so I'm sorry. Anyways, it's the minor seventh, so we need to hear the minor seventh. So let's try. The first information is the major third. Here it is. Just like we saw, this major triad could mean that we're in Lydian, Ionian, or Mixolydian. It's not enough. We're looking for a minor seventh. Yeah, Darren, thank you. It probably came, and everybody else who answered, yeah, the comments are not live, I'm sorry. But yes, exactly, it's the minor seventh. So, according to our diagram, we have our first stuttering triad, which we determined kind of randomly. Root, major third, fifth. If we move to the next one, each of the three notes move to the next one. The root becomes the major second, according to the Mixolydian diagram. The major third becomes the perfect fourth, and the fifth becomes the major sixth. We have this. There's no seventh in there, so that's not enough. And you can verify that because you see this shape here. From the fourth string to the second string, we're on frets 9, 7, 7. You see the same exact shape for the Ionian. also has a major second, perfect fourth, and major sixth. So that's not it. We don't have a seventh. And we could keep going up, but there's an easier way. Instead of going from the major triad here to the next one to the right, look at what's happening on the left. If we move that shape to the left, so the root goes 2 frets below, the major third goes 2 frets below, and the fifth goes 2 frets below. Now we have minor seventh. That's what we want. Major second and perfect fourth, and that's Mixolydian. This the first triad tells us we're in a major setting. Second triad, move it 2 frets below, tells us Mixolydian. And you hear that sound a lot in blues rock. Maybe not like that, but maybe. Hear that all the time, Mixolydian. That's how you build musical beds. The Ionian, we said it's a combination of, we need to hear those two notes. We need to hear the perfect fourth and the major seventh in order to be specific Ionian. And if we look at the first triad, and you can go to the next one, we know that that can't be it because we just said that that next shape is also found in Mixolydian. What about the shape just before? That shape just before has a major seventh. We want that. It also has a major second and a perfect fourth, and that's exactly what we need. So let's hear these 3 different countries in succession. I'll do the Ionian first, and I'll switch to this view. Here is my Ionian country. Arpeggiated. Here's the Lydian. Hear the difference? They start the same, they're different. Here's Mixolydian. Back to Ionian. Mixolydian. Back to Ionian. Mixolydian. Lydian. And that's how you develop an ear for that. So I encourage you to develop those ideas on your own and try to do it that way. Marty is asking, what about 9, 7, 8? 9, 7, 8. Yes, that would work too. That would work too. Well, no, it wouldn't. I'm sorry, I probably don't understand your question. I'm sorry. 9, 7, 8. What about it? For which mode, Marty? Because the 9 would be the major second, the 7 would be the perfect fourth, and the 8 is the minor sixth. And that there's no minor sixth in any of these major modes, so that wouldn't work, unfortunately. Oh, 9, 7, 8. I'm sorry. 9, 7, 8. Yes, that would work. Absolutely. That would work because we have major second, perfect fourth, and minor seventh here, which is the note we want. Yep. So it works. Sorry. Absolutely. So in order to phrase modal with major modes, the same thing. You think of your basic language, which is the major pentatonic scale, to which you're adding two notes. You're adding, if you're an Ionian, the perfect fourth and the major seventh, and so forth. So let's give that a try. And you should try those with the backing tracks that come with this this pack and the zip file. And if you did not get this, just send me an email and I'll send it to you. I'll send you the link, but you should have it. I'll pick something in D Mixolydian. So D Mixolydian includes my basic language, which is what I'll do. D major pentatonic. That works, but if I want to be more flairful and start adding the modal color, I can add the minor seventh, which is the characteristic note. So I'll do some short licks in major pentatonic scale, and I'll land on the minor seventh. Let's hear how that sounds. Minor seventh. And that works. And then I can do the same with the other note, which is a Dorian scale, to develop some ideas. And I'll add a little drive actually. Hang on just a second. A little more delay too. Okay, so I can do the same thing by adding the perfect fourth and the minor seventh, and now I'll have the full flavor of the mode, and here's how it sounds. But just think in terms of pentatonic scale and then additional notes. Here's how that sounds. Yep, wrong backing track, sorry. Where's the right one? Here. And so forth. Let's now try something in Lydian, for example. Here is something in A Lydian. I'll start with major pentatonic. And I'll add the augmented fourth. And then I can add the major seventh. And so forth. So that's how you can develop some modal ideas without being too tied down to modes. Okay. Are there any questions on what we what we've covered. We've got about 10 minutes left, and I really want people to understand where we're going with this. It's just simplifying modes, and just see it as you can use all your pentatonic background, and you're so close. You're 5 notes close to the 7 that makes the mode, and you only need to learn really your intervals, how to find the major second or the minor second within a position, and learn the formula that makes a mode. So what makes Dorian Dorian? So a little recap. The Dorian mode can be seen as a minor pentatonic scale to which you're adding a major second and a major sixth. The Phrygian can be seen as a minor pentatonic scale to which you're adding minor second and minor sixth. The Aeolian, minor pentatonic plus major second and minor sixth. Moving on to the major modes. The Ionian is a major pentatonic scale to which you're adding a perfect fourth and major seventh. The Lydian is a major pentatonic scale plus augmented fourth and major seventh. The Mixolydian is a major pentatonic scale to which you're adding a perfect fourth and a minor seventh. Oops, sorry. And as you're phrasing, just add one note at a time to your pentatonic. Minor if it's a minor country, major if it's a major country, and go from there. As far as the modal chord progressions that we've done, I would encourage you to explore different types of shapes. So instead of using root third, if major country, or minor for minor country, just pick 3 notes out of your full fretboard and then follow the diagram, moving these shapes around. And you're gonna develop. You're gonna start hearing a color like that. Do that for any of these modes. And that's really going to strengthen your ears to connect more with the different modes that are happening. We are. I have a question here. The best way to practice this into your vocabulary is with the backing tracks that I gave you. Those are the country that you're visiting, and if it's a minor mode, so Dorian, Phrygian, Aeolian, use a minor pentatonic scale, and force yourself to come up with simple minor pentatonic scale ideas, and then focus on adding one note at a time. The major sixth, for example, and then just 5 minutes of that. Just come up with short ideas like that. And then add the other notes one at a time. Don't go through all the modes in one session. Maybe just concentrate on one. If you have an hour to play, just work on the Dorian mode, and then the next day work on the Dorian mode. The third day, maybe add another mode, but start with 10 minutes of Dorian, so you really get a sense of the color of that mode. Actually, if you want to be really serious about it, I would recommend maybe spending a week on one mode. Get a bunch of Ionian backing tracks and just spend the whole week on the Ionian. And then the second week, move on to a minor mode. And one mode per week is going to really help you hear the color of the mode and recognize which country you're in or what's being played. But yeah, I would really recommend doing that. And on week 2, when you're adding a new mode, don't forget the mode you did before. If you have an hour a day, maybe start with the mode of last week, 10 minutes, and then move on to the new one. Darren has a great question. You can play pretty much any mode on power chords. Pretty much. As a matter of fact, the modes that we talked today, yes. Because a power chord is just a root and a perfect fifth, and all the modes we talked about today have a root and a perfect fifth. All the minor pentatonic scales, root, perfect fifth. Major pentatonic scales, root, perfect fifth. We did not talk about the Locrian, which is in their PDF, so go back and read the PDF. The reason I didn't include the Locrian mode is that the Locrian mode does not share 5 notes with the other minor modes. It's a minor mode, it has a minor third, but it has diminished fifth. So the power chord with the root and a perfect fifth would not work with a Locrian. It would have to be a diminished power chord. But yeah. Thank you very much, Scott. Thanks so much. I'm sorry about the little technical difficulties at the beginning and for starting late, but I'm getting better and better at this live stream thing, so bear with me. Thank you for doing so. Thank you very much for your time today, and just use those backing tracks, download the material. This class should be available. I'm not sure how long YouTube takes to process this, but in a couple hours, I would say. At the end of the day, it will be there. So anyways, you can go back to this link that you're using now to watch the live stream, and you can view this again and again, as many times as you want. And if you need help or anything like that, feel free to email me, and I'll be happy to help, or book a lesson with me too if you want more one-on-one things on my website, davidwallman.com. Thank you so much, really, for signing up for this. I hope it was helpful, and I really love discussing this with you, and I really appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend, and if you forgot to ask questions, send me an email, and I'll be happy to answer. And I'll see you Monday on YouTube. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time, and I can't do that on the live streams. That's not. Salut. Can't help it. Thank you. Talk to you soon.